A high-level mission of the World Leadership Alliance, Club de Madrid, is currently in Nepal with its mission, which is led by former President of Poland, Aleksander Kwaśniewski, with the objective of supporting the inclusive implementation of Agenda 2030 in Nepal. The main ambition of the mission is to help Nepal attain the Sustainable Development Goals. Former President Kwaśniewski had participated in the famous roundtable negotiations in Poland that finally brought the peaceful transformation of Poland and the whole Central and Eastern Europe from communism to democracy. Kwaśniewski had won the Polish presidential elections in December 1995, defeating the incumbent Lech Walesa, and was re-elected in the year 2000 for a second and final 5-year term. In context of the mission's visit in Nepal, our colleague Prarambha Dahal interviewed His Excellency Kwaśniewski.
Alliance's Club de Madrid's mission. Welcome to Kantipur News, Your Excellency.
Hello.
Since you've been in Nepal, you've been meeting a lot of political leaders, figures, people from different communities, right? And in these interactions that you've had, what is your understanding about the Constitution of Nepal and the way it is being implemented? What did you get to learn in this period of time?
Nepal is in extremely interesting moment of the history because after many years of war, finally you have peace, you have political stability, you have growth of economy, you have new constitution and a lot of chances for the future. So we discuss all these things with political leaders. We met prime minister, we met former prime ministers. We had very interesting discussion in the commission, planning commission, where we were informed about Nepalese implementation of goals of sustainable development, and it was very, very impressive. We realized that in Nepal you treat this model of development which was proposed by United Nations very seriously. That is very good. And constitution, you know, in my life I was chairman of Constitutional Committee in Poland. Then I was president when we adopted this constitution in referendum in 1997, so many years ago. And I have to say that, in my opinion, your constitution is really very democratic, protecting the fundamental rights, and that is, of course, very good. But to have a good constitution, that is one element, and to implement this constitution, that is a second element. And today, probably the most important here in Nepal is good implementation of the constitution on all levels of your country, on the federal level, on the regional level, in provinces, and also by the citizens. Because constitution is good, is valid, is effective if that's the citizens. They know constitution and they want to respect constitution and they want also to protect constitution. So I think this tasks are not easy, but I'm optimistic. I think that Nepal is prepared not only to have good constitution, but to implement this constitution fully.
Popular movements in Nepal have prioritized inclusiveness, right? Should it only be the government's responsibility to ensure inclusiveness because we've got so many other sectors? How do these other sectors come into play? What are their roles, duties? Or should it just be the government to proceed with systems of quotas and other mechanisms?
No, the inclusiveness is a task for everybody, because the task of the government is to create the correct frame for that. I think the decision about quotas is absolutely correct, because we need more women in the politics, we need more women in business as well, we need more women playing important role in our society. And to make such real change is necessary to start with quotas. And I think that was correct. Today is very important that to make these quotas with higher quality, to have better people on these positions. But that is task of federal government or of the government, legislators, to create conditions. But to have a real inclusiveness, the real inclusive society, that is task for business community, that is task for intellectuals, that is task for the universities, schools, teachers, and that is also the task for non-governmental organization. Because I think to have, for example, prepared women for some political position is necessary to have such girls, students, female students, women in for example, in a non-governmental organization, in some business, because somewhere they should collect own experience. So the simplest answer to your question is, of course, that the inclusive society, this is a task for everybody. That is a common, should be to be common goal. But of course, responsibility of government is to create adequate, relevant conditions.
World Leadership Alliance has stressed on the significance of shared societies, right? And for shared societies, you've stressed on the significance and the need of inclusiveness. Should inclusiveness be the only factor here that needs to be prioritized?
Not only, but very, very important, because especially why this inclusiveness is so important here in Nepal, because you are a very diverse society. And that is diversification on all levels. That is not only such general genders diversification, male and female. No, you have different ethnic groups. You have many different ethnic groups. You have poor and rich people. You have a problem with caste system. So you have a lot of elements which create finally the society is very diversified. So it means the inclusiveness here is really important. But inclusiveness without growth of economy is not enough. Inclusiveness without respect for constitution and good implementation of constitution is not enough. Inclusiveness without good dialogue between leaders, political leaders and citizens is also not very effective. Inclusiveness means also good education, because we should educate people for inclusiveness as well, to have to be prepared to take some political role in the country. So that is a very complex issue, but still this inclusive approach should be in all elements. Mm-hmm. Because if, for example, you will speak politically about inclusiveness, but in your economic system, the women or the people, young people, they will have no chance for development. That also will not work. So that is complex, but that is possible to combine all these elements together.
Nepal has witnessed armed conflict, the insurgency period that we went through, and there have been numerous changes in the government. However, the issue of transitional justice has always remained almost constant. There has been international pressure at one part, but at the same time, the domestic scenario is quite very different. There are different schools of thoughts in this case. Some people, they have been voicing for justice, they've been demanding for it, while there's a different group which has largely remained indifferent, right? So what is your perspective on this? How do you think should this issue be addressed?
First of all, this is really sensitive issue, and it was very sensitive everywhere where such problem existed. In Poland, in Ukraine, in East Germany. From my experience, I think the best solution was done in South Africa. Because and the situation in South Africa was really very dramatic, because this new black government, the government of ANC, led by Nelson Mandela, came after a very, very long time of apartheid, of very oppressive politics done by white minority against the black majority. And the concept of South Africa was to organize the Commission of Truth and Reconciliation. And it was, I think, so successful because it was supported by the very strong will of two really strongest leaders of the country. It was President Mandela and Archbishop Desmond Tutu, who was the chairman of this committee. And I think that's why I think it's so good solution, because we have two elements in this. We have a truth, what means justice, because the people who are responsible for crime, responsible for bad things, should be punished. But the second element of this is reconciliation. because this justice, this punishment, this discussion about the past, this knowledge about this very, very tragic, dramatic truth should lead us to the reconciliation. Because even after such dramatic, tragic experience like civil war, like violence, like a long list of victims of that, it's necessary to live together. Especially new generation should be should live together. Very important is the unity of the society. So the process of reconciliation is really the part of this justice. And if I can recommend something to here, because you know that is a very sensitive issue, and I have no one good recipe for that. But I think the example of South Africa may be for you most inspiring.
Federalism in Nepal is quite new, it's unique for us, and this is the first ever practice of federalism out here. We have 3 tiers of government: central, provincial, and local level governments. But as of now, what it appears is the federal government and the local governments are quite strong and effective as well. They're performing quite well. However, the roles, responsibilities, duties of provincial government has not been up to the expectations so far. So what is your recommendation so as to ensure that all 3 tiers of the governments are in cohesion and they work out just as well as they should be to make them effective and efficient all at the same time?
Well, first, decentralization is very close to my heart because I was involved in transition in Poland. It was a long time ago, 30 years. But one of our first decisions was decentralization of the state. And if last 30 years is really for Poland success story, one of the source of this success is this decentralization. Why decentralization is so good? Because the power is closer to the people. And democracy is stronger as the people, they have a feeling, they contribute in this system. They can develop own initiatives, ideas, etc. So generally speaking, decentralization is a good thing. Federalization in case of Nepal, I think this is also a good decision because of structure, because of this diversity of your country. And how to make these 3 levels effective, I think for that it's necessary to have a little bit more time, to have goodwill, political goodwill on all these 3 levels, local, provincial and federal. Sometimes it's necessary to revise some laws to make this cooperation better, more smoothly. And I think it will work. But because, you know, I'm sure that at the end of the day, in this federal system, the people on the bottom, you know, the people on this local level, we will feel more and more that they are part of this country, of this state, that they can influence on some political decision, economic decision, etc. And they feel really the real citizens, not only, you know, statistic element of the society, but really the rulers to some extent of the country as well. So I'm optimistic. Of course, the process is not easy, but needs time, and I think if you will have enough goodwill and patience, it will work.
Sports news.
After winning the historic one-day international series against United Arab Emirates on Monday, the Nepalese cricket team